just wanna make you laugh. I just wanna see that smile. Baby, we're only here for a little while. I just wanna hold you till we fall asleep. I want love, I want us, I want you, I want me, I want peace.
All right, happy Friday. Welcome back to Morning Coffee for the 5th installment of Should You Jump? Today we're talking about whether or not you should leave that thing you're thinking about leaving. Or maybe you're in a situation where you know in the future you might have to jump. So I'm just giving you things to think about. We're talking about values. We're talking about evolving past a situation. We're talking about where you put your focus. And listen, all of these themes, they sort of do build on each other. Most of them come back to values. So if you're just hearing Morning Coffee for the very first time, I would highly encourage you to go back to the beginning and listen like 1 through the end, which normally I wouldn't, because episode 1 of like Lionheart Radio, probably not so great as I was learning. But when I started Morning Coffee, I'd already been doing the hosting for a while, and a lot of these lessons are building on each other. And so if I talk about coherence or your worldview and you haven't listened to other Morning Coffees, it might not make as much sense. But certainly if you're listening to this one and you're interested in this idea of pivoting in life, at least go start at Monday, because that was the biggest episode where we really talked about values and how that should be the cornerstone of your decision to jump or not jump. So today what I wanted to talk about is your state. From day to day, what is your state? See, there are two ways to be in the world. There's a parasympathetic state and a sympathetic state. Now, your parasympathetic state is associated with recovery, all right? And then your sympathetic state, that's when you're in the fight or flight response system. Now, anybody knows me, or anybody that's familiar with how the nervous system works knows it's probably more like flight or freeze, and then maybe fight if you've trained to, but for the most part, we freeze. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I want to know, when you think about this situation you're in, what is your state? What is your emotional state? What is the state of your nervous system? How are you breathing, right? Every day. And that's something we don't pay much attention to, which is weird because it is controlling our state. See, I listened to Dr. Huberman, who he's running a fear study out of the University of Stanford. And one of the things he talks about is the things he's studying is how to control your fear response with your breathing. Because with your breathing, you can change your emotional state. Now, here's what's interesting. When we think about whether or not we should go, the reason I'm bringing it up in the context of pivoting in life is because the situation you're in is probably driving you in a certain state. Now, if you're living your life in a sympathetic state, you are setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for burnout, exhaustion, collapse. When you are sympathetic, meaning that fight or flight, then you are burning resources in your body for no fucking reason. You are creating cortisol. So when you're around this relationship you're thinking about leaving, how are you breathing? Are you shallow, or are you calm? Are you parasympathetic? Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's something we don't think about, but it's something that we really should, because you can only spend so much time in a sympathetic state. Now, when we talk about parasympathetic, we're talking about a nice full breath. We're talking about being relaxed. We're talking about our body being able to recover. We're not producing cortisol anymore, and we're nice and relaxed. And look, you want to spend most of your life in that state. Now, for the obvious reasons, because you're recovering, but for the not so obvious reasons, because you're using resources and you only have so many resources within your body. So if your situation is so bad that you're in, right, and I'm thinking about relationships, and I'm thinking about jobs where you go into it and you're so worked up and your breathing is short and rapid and you're just so goddamn mad, if that is the case, you got to jump. And you got to jump because you got to protect your sanity, your emotional bandwidth, and your life. Literally, the thing that we don't understand is that emotions have such a strong way of manifesting in physical realities, right? And so if you're sympathetic all the time and you're always worked up and you're always stressed out, your shit's going to break. Physically, your shit's going to break. You are running the risk of heart attack. You are running the risk of stroke. You are running the risk of burnout. You're not going to sleep as good, which is going to cause these negative feedback loops where now your body's producing more cortisol because now you're not sleeping and now you're contending with this sympathetic state. And then your breathing is going to continue to be shallow and rapid, and so you're not getting oxygen to the places that you should. And then you can just see how these negative feedback loops are sort of feeding into each other. And so take a deep breath and think about what you want for your life. Think about, do you want to live your life in this sympathetic state? Now, it might be something that's so subtle you're not picking up on it. Or you might have lived in this state of fight or flight or freeze for so long you don't even realize you're in it anymore. Sometimes what happens is we go on vacation and we all of a sudden feel like what it's like to truly relax. I've noticed that in myself. I remember when I was in the military, after one of my deployments, I came home and I went to just on like this camp where we went up in the woods and we just, I camped out with my girlfriend for a while. And I remember I slept, like really slept for the first time in what felt like years. And I woke up and I thought like, what the fuck was that? Like, why do I feel so rested right now? And it's because I had lived so much of my life in a sympathetic state, my body had literally not unwound. And when I think about last year, it was like when I was really getting ready to transition out of the military and I was getting really frustrated with just my job, I was sympathetic. And then I remember I would go and I would like go camping and I would spend time with my girlfriend and we'd go do these things and I would wake up like, oh my God, like you feel the weight lifted off of you. But see, if I never had that sort of dichotomy where I went out and I decompressed, I would have never known I was compressed in the first place. Because we spend so much of our lives in this awful state where we don't even realize we're in it, right? And then we get heart attacks young, we get strokes at an early age. Like we get injured, we get sick and we don't even know why. That happens a lot of times. There's so many times where your emotional state will reflect in your physical presence, in your physiology. And so listen, as you think about jump, think about like how do you want to live your life? Do you want to live in short, rapid, shallow breath? Like, is that a productive way to live your life? I don't know. For me, it's not. And if you find yourself there and you don't want to jump, little mindfulness will go a long way. Little breathing exercises in the morning. I have started this breathing exercise just through work with the Strong Coach, which is Barbell Shrugged, Mike Bledsoe, those guys, if you're familiar with them. They have a coaching program I'm going through right now as I'm redesigning my coaching program. And one of the things that we do, literally, this is going to sound kind of woo, but we have these mantras and we repeat them, but we repeat them with breathing patterns where we, and then we say the mantra. And it literally, you feel like you actually are ingraining it within you because you're changing your state. So if you think about yourself and your relationship, is it making you parasympathetic? If it is, and you don't want to leave, like I said, a little mindfulness will go a long way. A little bit of breathing in the morning, deep breathing. Give yourself 2 minutes in your car before you get out and you head into the madness to just take a breath, to just relax, to try to put yourself into a parasympathetic state. Because you deserve it. Honestly, like you don't deserve to have all of these health problems manifest just because of emotional shit that's going on in your lives. But it's your life. You can own it. You can jump or you can not jump. That is totally up to you. But I would hope that you would, just have the wherewithal to take care of yourself. Sometimes we don't prioritize ourselves. I talked about last week's episodes were all about this is how you take care of yourself. Listen, if you stay in a situation that you shouldn't be in, that you've evolved past, that isn't aligned with your values, it's going to show up physically eventually. And that's the last thing I want for you because I love you guys and you listen to my show. And I don't want one less listener because you want to stay in a shitty situation. Oh, maybe that was too much. I love you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. I will talk to you Monday on Morning Coffee.
I've been trying to find this vibe for a long time. Always seeming like it's coming on its own time. But it feels so good, ain't gonna lie. My ride or die, feels so good, ain't gonna lie. Now that last goodbye, all the way up and you can't take this. Cause it's feeling so real that you can't fake this. But it feels so good, ain't gonna lie. My ride or die, feels so good, ain't gonna lie. Now that last goodbye, we ain't never gonna quit. We ain't never gonna quit it, boy. We ain't never gonna quit. We ain't never gonna quit it. You're always trying to chime me. The I'll be rising. What's going up? I could've sworn that you'd be psychic. 1-800. You push my buttons, I'm like Tyson. Been years since I felt like this. So blessed. Gonna ask if you can stay. For the rest, I'm alive cause I need you. Real joy in my life, yeah, I need you. Just be you. We ain't never gonna quit. We ain't never gonna quit it, boy. Nah, we ain't never gonna quit. Nah, we ain't never gonna quit it. Every day's a gift, just take it as it comes. Embrace it through the mist, weather, rain, or sun. Every day is a gift, you got air up in your lungs. Be grateful, rain or sun. Every day's a gift, just take it as it comes. Embrace it through the mist, weather, rain or sun. Every day's a gift, you got air up in your lungs. Grateful rain or sun.